Mary, you are such a pleasure to have here because you're so relaxed.
I don't know, sometimes inside I don't feel so relaxed. That's just the outside. But inside, which I find with a lot of people actually, that, I'd be spending time with somebody and they'd be like, oh, I've got an anxiety disorder. Or I've been feeling depressed for the last couple of years since COVID. And I'd be like, but I'm spending all this time with you. I didn't pick up on any of that. They're like, oh yeah, because I try to keep it calm and cool. But inside, I'm like a hamster on a wheel, or like this volcano erupting.
Yeah, a lot of people can kind of keep it in together. And generally, when they can't anymore, that's when they've tried all avenues. That's where they end up on my doorstep yet again.
Yeah.
Anxiety, depression, and we tried everything is not working. So let's give this stuff a try.
Yes.
And it's okay, whatever stage you're coming in at. But it's so much nicer when you work with someone who's more balanced and you can really see them getting very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
But most people that come my way, to be honest, are really in the dumps.
Yeah.
Their anxiety, depression are so bad. Sometimes, like, their children, they're nail biting and they bite so low. Just looking at their nails makes me like, this person's in a lot of fear. Mm-hmm. So what causes worry and anxiety and fear? They're all coming from negative beliefs, but let's be honest. These kids, not just kids, everyone, we are all living in a time of huge change on the planet.
Yeah.
And there are so many different things happening. And the media is like, fear, fear, fear. I was watching social media the other day very neutrally. Mm-hmm. And I said, no wonder people are freaking out. Look at all the messages. And it's always, it's you're not doing this, you're doing something wrong. You're not doing this. And everything contradicts each other.
Yeah.
How do you make sense in a world like this?
Well, especially if you're saying that these kids that are born these days are more hypersensitive to a lot of stuff. Like, our world is not a sensitive place. And they have access to all this stuff on their phones. And really the depression and anxiety rates among our young people, like mental health with our young people, we're in a crisis state. If you want to look at stats across Canada or even just in Ontario, our kids are sad and they're scared. And I think I've heard so many people say, oh, she just has some anxiety or he just has some depression. I'm like, what do you mean just depression? What do you mean just anxiety? Like, that is debilitating.
Yeah.
And so, and these parents, like, I really feel for them. They go to their doctor for help, which they should do. Sometimes they get a prescription. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it doesn't. They try talk therapy, which, is great also. But for a lot of these kids, some of them then get into drugs and different addictions just to help numb some of this, some of these awful feelings.
Yeah, it's they're so overwhelmed by the state of the world. They feel this sadness. And how do you cope? So they can numb through alcohol, through social media. And then you'll notice the child's behavior. They start to stay in their room more. They're not going out with their friends anymore. They're nail biting. They have a nervous tick. Mm-hmm. They're pretty in a bad state at that point.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of families will say, oh, wait, red alert, something is wrong with my kid. And I understand as a parent, when we start to notice the early signs, we may not want to see them or acknowledge them because nobody wants to feel that their child is not doing well. Mm-hmm. So we might overlook that and overlook that and overlook that. But then it gets to a point where this can't be overlooked anymore. There's something seriously wrong.
Well, in all fairness to parents, it's complicated because teenagers do weird things to begin with.
That's it. It. Yeah, because is it hormones? Yes. Right? Is it this? Is it that?
Yeah. So it's a hard thing for parents to figure out when my child needs help, which is why I think it's so important for parents to talk to other parents. But we don't really have a sense of community anymore. We don't know our neighbors. We go to school. We don't know our kids' friends, parents. We don't have time to build relationships that are meaningful where you can talk about real issues with other parents. So I think that there's a really big gap there.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed. Mm-hmm. But if you're noticing your children, they're just not acting right, there's a lot of anxiety there, there is help. I would say The one thing that makes people feel, I get from clients, is I would walk through burning coal for my child. I'd walk through glass. I'd give up my life for my child. But I've tried everything and I just can't sleep at night. Well, try something like this. Yeah. Let's work with your child. Now, I really like to work with kids that are knowing that I'm working with them. But there have been times where a child is so resistant, or a member of the family is so resistant, that with permission from their higher selves, I can do work while they sleep.
Yeah, so that they don't know.
They don't know. I'm more like, I prefer the one-on-one where they're understanding, because it helps them understand what they're going through and they can feel the difference and realize this is working and I'm going to continue with it. But sometimes when kids or someone in such a bad place, so depressed, so anxious, they don't want to do anything because they're too scared to leave the home.
Or maybe they've already tried a bunch of stuff and nothing works.
That's
so
right.
now
So they
they're
kind of give it up.
completely, yeah.
So sometimes we do it when they're sleeping, and again, when I do that work, I have permission from their higher self. It's sending like prayer energy, love energy, and their higher self can always say no to it. And when I don't do it, if the higher self's going to say no, I'll only do it in situations where it's accepting. But the parents will say they're lighter, they have a twinkle in their eye, they're more receptive, and then the second session, they're walking in willingly. So sometimes it's just getting that really icky energy out of the way so the person can feel more like themselves to make those better judgments for themselves.
And do you have stories of clients like that you have helped get better from anxiety disorder and depression?
Many. That is huge. Like, cancer is one big thing. That's the physical side. I deal with a lot of people who are not physically well. But then one of the biggest things is depression and anxiety. The addictions are the one-offs. Like, though, that's a smaller percentage because, thankfully, not. More people are in the anxiety and depression and haven't gone to that next level, let's say, right? So what I'll get from, not just kids, from people, like, they come in and they're, like, shaking because they can't control. Like, I'm on these meds, but they're not strong enough. And as they get better, and it's not just a one-time miracle, although some people have these really beautiful shifts. And they're like, Brenda, I feel so great. Again, I'm not responsible. I can create the healing space. It's up to the person to take what they need.
Because once they have some time with you, isn't it possible that then their medication would work better?
Yes, and then what will happen is they realize they don't need the medication. So through consultation with their doctors, they actually slowly wean off the medication. So they're having sessions, they're releasing layers of stuff and trauma and worries. Because you know what? Whatever we see, we're watching, all that stuff stays in our field. So what we're doing is releasing the trauma, the negative belief systems, the things that just don't belong. And they start to feel more like themselves. They start to feel more calm. They're sleeping better. One of the biggest things is, oh, my son told me he slept for the first time in months. One guy, oh my gosh, I got a text message. Some of the older ones will text me and say, Brenda, I've never slept this soundly. I'm at peace when I'm sleeping.
Oh, that's a nice thing.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So it's usually the sleep. There's a peacefulness within. As they start to come back to normal, more of them normal selves, they'll start to have those relationships. The family will say, that they're talking at the dinner table again. They're talking to their friends on the phone again. They're making plans to go out with their friends. Isn't that beautiful to see your child thriving again?
Yeah.
As a parent, I have kids, and we worry sometimes. I
always worry all the time.
I always tell people, don't worry about your children.
Yeah.
They too have their own spirit guides guiding them. They came in with their own themes. But what you can do, instead of worrying, because you add more worry, instead of worrying about them, say something simply like, my child is healthy, happy, thriving. They have direction and they're doing great.
Yeah, because what you focus on grows.
Yeah.
So, but it's really hard not to focus on a child who's got anxiety and depression because it's all encompassing. Like you can see it on them the minute they walk into the room.
Yeah. So I'm blessed with this gift. When I have somebody in front of me and they can be in the worst state, I don't see them in that state. I see them in their best state. So I'm not dwelling on, oh, they have this. And yes, I have all that information. I know what their current state is. But that's not who they truly are. So there's a timeline there where they're thriving, healthy, out there, all that good stuff, connected.
Yeah.
And that is what I hold the space for. I hold the space so they can say, yes, that's what I want to be at. It's happening at an energetic level. And they jump into that and they start that healing journey. It's phenomenal. Like, you know, sometimes it's a very personal thing, so I can't say, hey, can I take a picture or video of you of what you are today, and then let me take a picture of you afterwards? Generally, when I'm working with adults, I'll say, give me a picture of what you look like so I can meditate on the picture. And then I work on them. And then they're so different. They're brighter, they're lighter. And then I say, give me a picture afterwards, and I just keep that for my own personal thing because I can see that. That was what they look like. This dark cloud, and this is what they look like.
And so with your services, like, what harm can come to them if they come to see you for these kinds of things? Like, is there any possibility of harm?
No harm, no. And the reason is the person's higher soul, the higher selves, their soul is in charge. So we're creating a healing space with these beings of light that come through, and they know where the person's been, what they've been through, where they're going, what they need. So we're leaving it up to a higher power, to a higher intelligence that loves us. So that love is working on them to bring them back to who they are. So there cannot be any bad thing unless leaving out with a smile and lightheartedness and being more who you are is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's all good.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody wants to come in here to prove that my work doesn't work, and they're really adamant, well, they're going to get what they want. It's not going to work on someone who's coming in with that intention. But do you have to be a believer?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. You just have to come in with an open mind, and that open mind will allow your higher self to work on the issues and release what needs to be released. You know, so most people don't waste their time or their money coming to see me to prove that it doesn't work.
Right.
I've had one or two in the past, but generally people are coming in not understanding what is being done, but coming in with an open mind. I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to feel better.
Yeah.
And then they heal at a physical, mental, and emotional level. And I always say, you're going to get it as you can handle it. So some people can handle a big shift. And they're like, wow. A lot of people will handle a gradual shift, but they will notice the differences. They're smiling, they're sleeping better, they're peaceful. But they always say, I don't really understand what's going on. But it's because they start to feel that tickle in their heart, that love for themselves again.
Well, I don't understand what's going on, because when you think about how many people out there in the world have anxiety and depression and have been struggling for so long and are desperate to find help, why you don't have a lineup like down the street and down the road for people? Like, what is going on there?
You know, we all have duality. I mean, we'll just get into this. There's the light and the dark. The light part of us wants us to get better. But the dark side of us will say, that can't work. Don't try that. How many of you have tried to do something good for yourself? And there's a part of you that says, don't do that again. Don't go to the gym again. Don't do that. You're feeling good. So it's their own negativity that likes them staying in negativity. Misery likes company. If they come see Brenda, that negativity knows Brenda just has this way of helping the negativity release from the body, bring them into more of themselves. That negativity has a consciousness. It doesn't want to come see Brenda.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's also getting the word out there. How do you get the word out there that, hey, Brenda can get rid of spiritual attachments? You might have a negative, interference in your field, without coming across as, oh, that's scary.
Yeah, because we've been programmed to think that that's kind of a scary thing.
Yeah, and it's fun, and it's light, and the people relax, and they leave here smiling. When they come in, they're a bit anxious. They don't know what to expect. But I've been told recently I had a family come in that's never tried energy work before.
Yeah.
And they brought the whole family. Like, it was so cute. Like, the parents, the kids, because one person was getting a session done. They all wanted to meet. And the older person said, you're so kind in hospital. How do you do that? Because I've been doing this for over 15 years. Like, this is just easy for me. So creating the warm space is easy.
Yeah. So you do this in person in the Niagara Falls area and in the Oakville area in Canada. Mm-hmm. But you can also do this work via distance. So anywhere in the world. Like, you have clients all over the world, right?
Actually, a lot of my clients are international clients because there's a lot of countries that already know this stuff, right? It's kind of new for North America, like, oh, wow, energy work, what is she doing? But, in other countries, they're well ahead of us in this game.
Yeah. Very trendy in California, too.
Oh, huge. I've been told I should go live in California, but I really feel this urge to hold the space here in Ontario.
You got hair like the California girl.
Somebody was saying, I was about to go overseas to bring my son somewhere, and then I heard about you, and she only had to drive for an hour to see us.
Wow.
And she got the same results, if not better.
Okay.
So there we go. I'm just around the corner if you're in the GTA.
Yeah. Anybody wants some more information or maybe a free phone call with Brenda, you can find her discovery link on www.sobrilliant.ca. See you soon, folks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us.
If you have any questions or comments, visit us at sobrilliant.ca.
Sending you lots of love and light. Until next time.